Assalamu alaikum. Today we'll be visiting chapter number 7 and we'll cover all the examples that are available in chapter number 7 from the book AVR Microcontroller and Embedded System using assembly and C. So we'll see different types of things that are being used in the book chapter. Let's see, these are the topics that are discussed here. We'll discuss the general syntax and the program that are available in the book. So the most important thing is the data types. You must know the range of the data types. Let's say unsigned char has a range from 0 to 255 and char has a range of -128 to +127. So is the unsigned int and int, and these differences are according to our applications. So one can easily say that char is not used as a numerical value and it's just used for storing chars, which in general is wrong. The char data type can be used to store anything from 0 to 255, including the 8-bit ASCIIs. When we are storing the 8-bit ASCIIs, then specifically you can say that this is data type that is made to store the chars. Otherwise it can also use this range from 0 to 255, and then in hex it will be from 0 to FF hex. Let's see the first program. The first program, you include the AVR IO.h and then main void, and you use the char unsigned char z, which will basically say that this range is from 0 to 255, and then you declare this port as an output port. Port B is an output port, and then we'll start the loop. The loop will go and it will show the value of the loop on port B. Note there is no delay used here. So let's run this first program. So I have written all the programs here. You can use these programs. Just 71, the same program. I've added an additional delay so that we can see the loops iteration that are in progress. So let's start. So this program should show the values. One 001, then 10, then 11, then 1004, 101. Red LED shows 1 and blue LED shows 0. 6, 7. Now 15 is going to be 1, 8, and this will go up to 255, all the way to 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then we'll drop from that to 0 again. So this is how an loop will be shown on port P if it's an 8-bit port. So let's see the example number 2. So in example number 2, what you're going to see, what you are going to expect out the output is basically should be the ASCII symbol. So my list, this is an array, and this array is storing the values from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, and this is a string of arrays, and these values, these symbols are now going to be presented on port B. Note that when you now display the 0, this will be shown as 30 hex. So let's say when we run this program 7-2, 7-2. Let's run the program 7-2 here. Comment the first program, run the program. I think we should add some delay into the program as well. So let's run this program, and this should show 30, 31, 32, 0011 is 3, and this is 33, 34, 35, and it's going to show A 41, 42, and this is similar, like you can see the A, B, C, D will have their values according to their hex table, and you can just run this program and get these output. Now this 5 is going to be having the value of ASCII symbol 5 from the ASCII table. Okay, the third program is easy. It just toggles a number from 0 to 200, and it's going to be running as it is. It's going to complement the port B at the output. We will run this program. 273 is a simple program. The values are going to be toggling. Let's see the program 7-4. So this is interesting program. In this program, the output is going to be shown the value, and these are going to be -4, -3, -2, -1, 0. So the point is, what is going to be represented when -4 is going to be used. So -4 is going to be used, the 2's complement of -4, that is 0xfc, is going to be shown. You can just take this number 4, and you can take its 1's complement and 2's complement, and this is basically a -4's 2's complement. We can just show here. So -4, write the binary of 4, 0s, 1, 0, 0, and because this is an 8-bit number, so we'll take it as 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. Then we'll take a 1's complement of it, the 1's complement 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, and then we're going to add a 1 to it, plus 1. So 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, and this is going to be 1, 1, 1, 1. So this is basically F, and this is basically C. So you can write -4 as 0xfc. Okay. So let's see the examples of chapter number 7, 7-4. So -4, -3, -2, -1, as I've shown, is going to say 0xfc, 0xft, 0xfe, 0xff. So you can verify this from the simulations when we run these example. I've added a delay, and let's play this example. See 0xfc, 0xfd, fe. This is again, you can say 1, 1, 1, 1, and this is ff 0. Now it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this shows the importance of binary number recognitions and the significance when you see these things on a port, on a digital port. One should be clear about these small concepts in order to have a better understanding. So this loop is just making use of a char array, and this char array, one symbol is shown one time at a time, and it's shown on the port B. So ranges of these numbers should be kept in mind when dealing with all these aspects. So the next program just runs the 50,000 times, and it's using the unsigned int. So the main important thing is you understand that this is the limit of the number 50,000. If you want a bigger number, range, you need to have a bigger number at your variable. This range is 65535. That's why we are using the unsigned int. If it would have been let's say 200 or 300, it would be better to use the unsigned char for this particular purpose. So an embedded engineer always looks for the right data type when he's doing something. So these simulations will be available, the link will be available for the GitHub, and you can download the Proteus simulation in 8.10 and run by yourself as well. So if you have a more bigger range that cannot be captured inside unsigned int, so we'll use unsigned long, because long has much bigger range than unsigned int. So this will do the same thing. This loop is going to run and it's going to make an output, and then this is going to toggle this thing for 100,000 times and show the result in the form of a toggle. So write a AVR-C program to toggle all the ports bit with a 100 millisecond delay. Here we have made a 100 millisecond naive delay. This is on the approximation that we are using a 16 megahertz crystal, and this 16 megahertz crystal is going to run this much number of times to achieve a 100 millisecond delay. Now we can use this 100 millisecond delay in our different programs that we have discussed above, so that we can notice the things more clearly. So in this example, write all the ports and toggle them with some delay. We have added a delay library that you can use from this standard libraries, util_delay.h. The standard functions are available and they can be used inside the AVR Studio or Proteus simulations if they are added. So let's come to the IOs. IOs are basically we need to learn how to use these IOs and what are the symbols that are used. So LEDs are connected on port B. Write a AVR program to count. This program is similar and it will do the similar thing as was done in this previous program, and this is going to make this thing from 0 to FF. Let's run this program 7-9. Okay, 7-9 program. You can see the counter is running at a very much faster rate. When it comes to from 0 to FF, which means 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1, it rolls back to 0. So it's going from 0 to 255 and then back to 0, and this is going in a much faster way that you cannot see. If you want to see it, you need to stop this program, and then you can add a breakpoint to it and then run step by step this program, and you can also see the values that are basically changing inside this particular port B. The value of the port B can be shown here as well. So you can add the port B here, like you go into the AVR, and then basically you can have this thing CPU registers. You can see the CPU register. You can add the variables. You can add the watch window. In the watch window, you can select any register that you like so, and then make it a done. This registers will be added to your input. Double click it and then done. This register is added. Now when I run this step by step, you can see the value is going to change. So for now, for this particular port B is value is changing, and we can see the values one by one. This helps us debugging our algorithm, and is a very efficient algorithm, very efficient technique when you are running the simulations. So this will go to from 0 to 255 and then roll back. You're seeing this value as hex, and if you want to see any other data type, you can also see that particular data type here, and so we'll break this program here. Hope you understand this program as well. So this is 7-10. This takes the data from input pin B and then puts it on port C. So input port B, data is taken to a temporary variable and then shown on a output port C. So you can say that this is a type of a parallel in parallel out, given that both ports are of 8 bit. So let's run this thing. So you can see this the data is taken from pin B, input port B. I have added a toggle switch here, and when I'll run this program, you can see the data is changed. So if I add this data to multiple ports, whatsoever is the data here should be reflected at the output at port C. Let's run this program. So you can see the data is changing as it's changed. So let's see a program in which we take an input, and this input is greater than 100. This thing is going to show the result on port B, otherwise going to show the result on port D. This program is taking the data in the form of a binary number, and then the results are shown on port B or port D, depending upon what port you choose it at the output. So next thing is the bit masking, and in bit masking you can basically apply different and or operations at bit level, and this will give you the result in the form of these operators. Like if you're using A and B, the result is going to be like 0 and 0 is going to be 0, and if it's a XOR, you can apply the XOR table here. On XOR table, if the inputs are same, the output is 0, and if inputs are different, the output is 1. And similarly the or not. So all these exercises can be done here on this code, and bit masking algorithms are very good for defining different type of smaller techniques that help you make smaller steps for an algorithm. So here 0x35 is OR with 0xf, so the output is going to be 0x 0f, and this mask has been placed. Similarly 0x04 OR with 0x08, and the output is going to be shown at port C. So this program 7-13 is going to show the results of this port B, and we are going to use this mask in which the 4th bit from the 0 or 5th bit in general is going to be made 1, and in this second port B, this 5th bit is going to be 0. So the application of mask is basically discussed here, how you can apply a mask and use or AND operation to make a port set or reset, 1 or 0. If you want to make that port particularly 1, you can use this upper command, and if you want to make any bit of a byte 0, you can use this lower command. So technically speaking, this code is going to run, and when it's going to run, the 5th bit is going to be on and off continuously, and the rest of the ports, rest of the bits of port B are going to be unchanged. This is the beauty of mask, that when you apply a mask, you can only select a selected bit of a byte or a bit of a port, and then change its value only. So write a AVRC program, bit 5 port C. If it's high, send 0xFF, port B, otherwise send 0xS to port B. So we'll see this example. So we have basically added this port PC5 here as an input, and this is an LED placed at the PB0. This is according to the example of the book, in which you can see that we are only concerned with the PB5th value. So we have I added a switch there, and output we are indicating with an LED. We can make a bigger LED if you want, but it's on the purpose is to show the data, how the data goes. So you can see 7-14 example is here, and I've shown 0xFF or 0x00 so that you can see the change visibly. So let's run this code, and I've basically shown the data on the same port in both the cases. A little different from the book, but book is showing this thing on the same page as well. They are not using the port D. This may be a typo. So when you run this example, you will see when the change happens. So PC5 is receiving this value from this net. This is called a net, and this PB0 is basically receiving this value here. This is, should cut this thing as well because this is not used in this example. Run all, and then the change can be visible here. So if it's 1, and then this is going to show 0x55, and if it's 0, it's going to show 0x00. This is a pull-up configuration. This pull-up configuration is basically to initialize any input. Usually when we take the input, we initialize it to a 1, and when it's make 0, the result is accordingly. So pin C, we are masking this 5th pin, and we are looking for the logical answer. Then when this mask is generated with this pin 5th pin of pin C, what's the result? If the result is basically satisfying this equation, this line is going to be executed. Otherwise this line is going to be executed. So when this bracket start pin C, and this line is going to have a logical answer, that logical answer is going to be compared with this thing. So technically speaking, if this is a 1, logical answer for this whole bracket is 1, it's not equal to 0, then this whole condition is satisfied, and this port B is going to run. And for the sake of argument, this results a 0. This piece pin C added with this mask value gives a 0. 0 not equal to 0, the else part is going to run. So these are little trickier things, and the only way is to simulate them and test them and change them and see what's the resulting response, and then add it to your map. Okay. So bigger examples, more practical examples. Let's say door sensor is connected to port bit 5, port bit 1 of port B, and LED is connected to port bit 7, and then we are asked to make a smaller security system. We'll make the input ports, we'll make the output ports, and we'll only try to configure the pins that are assigned to us, and we'll left the others unchanged. And this is how it can be done with the help of a mask. Note that we are not making all the ports as input or output. We are only selecting the pins that are given to us to configure as input or output. And then when while one super loop starts, this is super loop, and embedded system lives in a super loop, forever loop, and it is continuously at your service. So if this pin B, this condition is checked, if it's checked and it's verified, then this is going to be happening. Otherwise this is going to be happening. If you're using Arduino IDE, this thing is relatively simpler. You just need to name that pin and digital write that with a high or a low. This is somewhat similar, but when you're working with the AVR register, it's like a more need to be more professional, and because you're working at the register level. One drawback of Arduino IDE is that it's not usually the ports are not directly accessible. Here everything is accessible, that is the provision given by the manufacturer is available at your service for you to design a better program. So the data pins of an LCD are connected, the information is latched into an LCD whenever its enable pin goes from high low. The enable pin is connected to pin 5 and port C 6th pin. Write a program to send the earth is but one country. This is a string, do remember this is a string, and you are asked to send this array of characters to a port that is connected to an LED, and also the control signal of the enable is also tell to you. So you are going to send T and then you are going to give it a pulse, enable pulse from a high to low to your LCD, and it's going to store that information, its register, and you are going to send one letter at a time, and there are total 0 to 28 letters in this whole parser, and these will be sent one by one, and once they are done your LCD is going to show the number or the information on its display. This is an interfacing example in which you are trying to communicate with a certain type of an LCD which is positioned with certain pins that are given in this example. So if you want to see this example, this will be the ASCII letters will be shown one bit at a time. For now we are not interfacing the LCD directly, but definitely port C is going to show the characters in their ASCII forms. So I am going to run this example 7-16, which is going to send this array of characters one by one. The ASCII symbols are going to be represented. Let's see. You will see these examples running if you understand the binary systems, binary things that are happening, binary symbols that are associated with anything. This will make the things more easier. So when this is running, port B is going to show the value of 0x54, and this 0x54 will be the ASCII symbol of T, and then the ASCII symbol for H is going to be represented. So and the value as port C is going to change. So this can also be visible here at the port. You can see when this program is run, T, H, E, D, earth is the ASCII symbols, the space, it's a symbol for ASCII symbol for space. All these things are going to be represented here 28 times, and consider that there is an LCD attached to it, and this parallel port is transferring the data to LCD parallelly, and an enable signal is also latched with this port that goes from high to low whenever signal is changed. That signal is not visible because it's going at a very high speed. If the delay is more, you will be seeing it more visibly. So done with these example. You can see in chapter number 2 we'll study more about the LCD interfacing, and we'll try to add the LCD there as well. So write a AVRC program to read the pins V and 0 of port B and issue an ASCII character to port B, and basically this is a program where you're taking the input from the user and then running the codes accordingly. So write an AVRC program to read pin 1 and 0 of port B and issue an ASCII character to port B according to the following lookup table. So we are only using pin 0 and pin 1 of port B. So we write our program, initialize the inputs and outputs, and then take the input pin B in a temporary register, and then mask the last two values. Mask the last two values. Now this mask will ensure the only last 2 bit data is stored, and rest is of no use for us because we are only targeting pin number 0 and pin number 1. And this pin and 0, 1 will generate 4 cases, 0, 1, 2, 3, and according to those cases we'll switch to those cases. Let's say if the pin input is 0, this case is going to run. If pin case is 3, this case is going to run. So you can see the ASCII character according to this program, whatever is done at that program. So I've added two pins here at pin 0 and pin 1, and whenever I'm going to change these things, the output will be visible here. So let's run it forever and see the schematic. So this is 0 0 is like 0, char 0 is shown here. This char 0 is basically ASCII symbol 30. So you can see this 30, 0 0 1 1 0 0 0 0, and let's say if I change this thing pin to 1, this is going to be 31, this is going to be 33, 32. So these keys are running according to the program that I have written. So very easy examples. If you understand them and try to run them, try to change and modify them, and then learn what's at the output. A similar example in which we have write a AVRC program to monitor bit 7 of port B. If it's 1, make bit 4 of port B input, otherwise change pin 4 of port B to outputs. This is an interesting example in which you are basically configuring a port as input or output depending upon a input that is given to you. So the important thing is that we are using one bit as input and rest of the pins are configured as basically we are deciding them that we want to configure them as input or output except for one particular pin. So this is very interesting example when you usually basically read memories. So your port will do two operations. It will write with the similar port or it will read with the similar port. So technically speaking, it will take input when it's reading from your memory, external memory, and it will give output when it's writing to your external memory. So this example is very interesting and it's very important when you are dealing with external memories. You can use this type of code to configure a port as input or output depending upon your particular program. Write a CVAR program to get the status of the bit and send bit 7 of port C continuously. So interesting program in which we are taking the inputs and doing the outputs as shown in the program. So whenever this program takes this set bits of port C to 1 and clear the port C to 0 otherwise. So this is an interesting mask. If this mask is basically used to change the bits of a byte, the bit of a port to 1 or 0. So usually you will see this Stantec used in this book. If you are taking want to make a particular bit of a port 1, you will use this OR and you will use this type of mask. If you want to make it 0, you will use an AND mask and you will make that particular port 0. This will AND 0 with this thing and will make sure that port becomes 0, because A and B, if any of the A or B is 0, this is for sure that the output is going to be 0. So A and 0 is going to be 0, or A or 1 is going to be 1. So this is a small logical expression that is used here to set or reset the pin. This is little trickier because it is very easier in Arduino to digitally write a pin high or low, but it's a little trickier to understand these relationships, because when you do complex programming, these are your partners. They provide you very helpful techniques and tips and small shortcuts to do bitwise operations and do things very clearly. Write a AVRC program. You can invert using an inverter operation, or you can invert using a XOR operation. Basically these two are doing the same thing, the complement operation. And if you look at the complementing table, if any of the input is 1 for sure, the output is going to change if the XOR operation is applied to it. So if you want to see the XOR gate operation, we'll see the small truth table in a different way. Screen. So let's say XOR table, how does it works? XOR 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1, and this is an XOR operation. So 0 0 is going to be 0 and 1 1 is going to be 0. So if there is a change, it's going to make it 1. This is the XOR operation. So let's split this operation in two tables. So you can see if this is a fixed thing, consider A is a fix, whether it can be a 0, it can be a 1. So if it's A is 0 all the time, the B input is going to be at the output as it is. But if A is make 1, whatever you give at the input will be complemented at the output. So we call this like a programmable buffer or an inverter. We can use the XOR as a programmable buffer or an inverter. In this case, this is performing the buffer operation, and this case is performing the invert operation. So consider this input is control input I. If I give it 0 and apply XOR operation, whatever it as it is at the B will remain at the B. But if it's a 1 at the programmable input, the input is going to be inverted. This similar thing is basically shown here in these examples. When we apply XOR operation, it basically and gives a 1 at one operator, it changes whatever is at the port B. If it's a 1, it will make 0. If it's a 0, it will make it 1. A little disassembly is shown here as well. You can understand that disassemblies are basically the part that compiler basically converts your C code into assembly code, which is basically discussed in the earlier chapters, and this is quite a complicated code. We understand the basics so that we know what's happening behind the scene, and these are like machine level addresses, the opcodes written in the hexadecimal, and then this is assembly, the mnemonics that mask these binary numbers or hexadecimal numbers. Usually the binary numbers, hexadecimal numbers are the machine addresses and machine data. So when we write in assembly, it's more easier and convenient for us to work at register level. But when we move to higher level languages like C, it becomes very easy to program, but we cannot directly visualize what's happening behind the scene under the ICs. So that's why this C is a high level language. So rewrite examples with different type of operations. You can run these examples like this is doing the similar thing, and this is now this is writing these things smartly. DDRB and equal to 0B11 0 1 1 1 1. Previously we were writing at DDRB equal to DDRB and the mask value. So you can write it comprehensively because now you are a smart programmer and you know how to write in shorthand, and you know the meaning of the shorthand. Basically these are the same things, but written with more experience, so that when you write bigger code it becomes easier for you to code. Though you can use the alternative techniques, some techniques make the code more readable, but when you are an advanced programmer you prefer to write simple and small, and that has more larger meaning. So then we have the shift operators. Shift operators are the binary operators that basically shift right or shift left. This is a very important operation as usual, and these operations help you make the bit shift according to your bit position. These are basically giving students a problem that they don't understand, and they confuse it with the operator, like write a code to generate the following numbers. A number that has only 1 in position D7. So this 1 will remain constant. The 1 on the left hand side will remain constant, and the 1 on the right hand side is basically the bit position that we want to make 1. So for the above cases, these are making these particular bits. Bit 7 is going to make 1, bit 2 is going to make 1, bit 4 is going to make 1, and if you want to make it 0, you just need to make a complement operator here, invert operator here. So this will make the fifth bit 0, this will make the third bit 0, this will make the first bit 0. So just write or remember these syntaxes as setting and zeros and 1, and don't confuse. The left hand side is will stay as a constant 1. You cannot write a 0 here assuming that it will become 0. The syntax is not allowing you to do this. You want to make it 0 1 and make that particular bit that you want to address, and then invert it. This is the way the compiler is going to understand it, and there is no other way. So similarly, the things are written here, DTRB, and this is going to make the 7th bit of this port as input, because this is going to make it 0, and when we make the DTRB of a particular bit of a port 0, we are making it as an input. And then we are going to check the pin B, the 7th bit, because this was the direction. Now we are going to check the data when we are writing the pin B, input from port B, and we are interested in the 7th bit. And if it's a logical 1, this is going to be executed, the port is going to be configured as input, otherwise it's going to be configured as output. So we are only interested in the logical aspect. So there is no 0 equal to 0 here, or equal to 1 here, which is perfectly normal. This is just saying that if this condition is logically 1, then execute this, else execute this. Okay. So if it's an logical 1, this thing, then it's good enough. We do not write to explicitly write equal to 0 or equal to 1, though we can write if we are interested. We can write this thing, but this is how a smart programmer would do that. So similar thing, write a CVR program to get the status of bit 5 of port B and send it to 7 port C continuously. So we configure this string as input by writing it as 0, and this is DDRC, that pin is output, and then we are going to check what happens if these conditions are met, and make this bit of port C 1, otherwise make it 0. So door sensor is connected to port B of pin 1, and LED is connected to port C. Write a AVSA program to monitor the door sensor, and when it open, turn the LED on. Similarly, you can when you are doing this, solving this thing, better to make a block diagram first, so that you know what is the input, what is the output, so you are not confused when writing your program. If this is pictorially clear to you, then this program will make more sense, and it will be easier to write the program by seeing the scenario inferred from this statement that is given as a question by your boss, by your manager, by your client, by your teacher. So this is very important that you first pictorially visualize the scenario to get the assessment that what's the input, what's the output, what are the feedbacks, then draw the flow charts accordingly, and then write the code, and then comment the code for the future readability, current readability of your team, partners, managers, client, and lastly you basically simulate those things and write your results, your observations about the code. If you want to change anything or what you observe, sometimes you observe, you forget what you observe, and this becomes very difficult to manage the product. So you can review these exercises and make these concepts understandable, and then use these concepts to mask the values according to your application. So next topic is data conversion program in C, and in this programs the example of ASCII codes are given. Let's say ASCII keys, the 30 is the ASCII key for 0. When you press a 0 on your keyboard, basically the controller of the keyboard send this 30 code to your processor, telling the unit that 30th key, the data is representing the 0 key, and this binary value is this thing. And if you go for the BCD unpacked, this will be represented in this format. So why we need this type of thing? Let's say one example as given is basically the RTC provides the time of the day, hour, minute, second, and the date, year, month continuously regardless whether the power is on or off. This data is provided in packed BCD. To convert the packed BCD to ASCII, you must first convert it to unpacked BCD, and then the unpacked BCD is tagged with particular aspects. So this example is given that this is a packed BCD and we need to convert it in accordingly. So we'll first unpack it, means we'll separate the 0x02 and 0x09, and then we'll change this 0x02 to 32 and this 9 to 39, because we know the symbol for 9 is 39 and for 2 is 32. So if we have received a packed BCD, we need to unpack it and then mask it according to the ASCII key codes as given. So these are simple examples that are given. Let's say write a AVRC program to convert packed BCD 0x29 to ASCII and display the bytes on port B and port C. Let's say packed BCD 0x29 and we need to convert it 32 and 39. Like this is a 4 and 7, we need to convert into 34 and 37. So what's to be done? We make a simple program. This program does not take any input at the moment, and the word is stored inside this routine. So this is 0x29 and we are making the 2 ports at the output because we want to display the result at the output. So we take the input in this variable my byte and try to save this 0x29. Let me just take this snapshot, snap, and then understand this program first. Let's understand this program. That so this is 0x29. We're going to mask it with 0x0f first and 0x29 and do a basically AND operation. What's going to left is basically 0x, and this is going to be 2 is going to be eliminated because it's AND, so it's going to be 0x09, and we are going to add this thing with a 0x30 with an OR operation. 0x30 and doing an OR operation, this will become 39 when a OR operation is applied to it. So we have converted the 9 to 39, and similarly we'll now convert this 0x29, this 2 to 32. So what we'll do, we are going to shift this 2 here, so we operate shift operator to it, and this becomes 0x02, and then we add basically a 0x30 with it through an OR operation. You can say this is more like an OR, this is an OR operation. This will become 32, 0x32. So your simple program has changed your 9 to 39 and 2 to 32. You can run this thing and in your program then understand the simple algorithms that are helping you transform this thing. Write an AVRC program to convert digit ASCII 4 and ASCII 7 to packed BCD. So if it's a ASCII digit, so this is already a 34, and we are going to mask it and do this thing accordingly. So W34, we are going to make this program. Let's take this program in the Word file and then solve it. So this 4 and this 7 is going to be converted to 47 packed BCD. So we have separated 4, separated as 7, and then we take this output, and this then we mask this W is equal to 0x0f, this W. So 4 is basically 30, 0x34, and then when it's masked with 0x0f, only 4 is going to be left, 0x04 is going to be left. So this 0x04 is saved. Then we apply this operation on the 7, and then this operation will ensure that 0x07 is saved. Now we are going to make this W shift, as this is going to be 0x40 in this line, and this line is applied, and then we are going to OR 0x40 and 0x07. This will give us a 47. So this operation basically makes this thing a packed BCD. So you can see the slides as well. They will be uploaded with this code, and they will give you a better understanding and recall the concepts discussed earlier. So we'll just display this thing on the port B and see the results. So we have now checksums, and checksums are simple programs that can help you identify the information whether the data is correct or not. These checksums are basically important to validate the integrity of the data. So similar operations are done, and then complement is generated to verify the results. You can see the theory here, the mathematics behind it, so that you understand what's the output and why this specific algorithm is being written. In this program, the checksum is calculated, and this checksum is calculated, and then if the checksum becomes 0, this is shown that the data is good. If for some reason some data is not correct, the checksum is going to have a 1 here, and this will show the data is false. This is a technique that is used to validate the integrity of the data read from any type of memories or any stored data. Is first checked for its integrity. So write a AVRC program to convert 0xFD, or let's say 253, to decimal digit and display the data on port B, port C, and port D. So this program basically shows the data. Let's say if 0xFD is shown, this will show 2 on port B, and then port C and port D. So when this program is run, port D will show value of 2, port C will show value of 5, and port D will show value of 3. You can better do these algorithms, these simple steps mathematically to understand what the operation are being done here. Simple mod and AND operations are done in order to separate the 2, 5, 3 combined number into 3 8 bits number that will be represented on the port. So when we run this program, you will see the corresponding number. Let's see, run all, and you see this program. So 2 is shown here, 0 1 2 50 1 0 1 3 is shown here. Okay, so if we change this number, we can also have a different result. So if I change this program from FD to FE, which will make it 254, and then the value is going to change, and this value change is going to be represented here. So this is going to 2 5 101 and 4 254. So you can see the change, and you can display the data and make the separation with a smart simple algorithm which uses these techniques to do this thing. So if we continue with these programs, this is like a serial port. Serial port importance is written here. It's a very important concept for interfacing. Different serial port compatible devices are there that are needed to be interfaced with your microcontroller, and serialization of data is a way of sending data byte 1 bit at a time. There are 2 ways of transfer byte of data serially. using the serial port, which is basically a hardware serial port. In using serial port, the programmer has very limited control over the sequence of data transfer. The details of serial port data transfer are further discussed in chapter number 11. The second method of serialization of data is to transfer data one bit at a time and control the sequence of data and spaces between them. In many new generation of devices such as LCDs, ATCs, EPROM, serial versions are becoming more popular because they take up less space on a printed circuit board. Although we can use standards such as I2C, SPI CAN, but not all devices are basically supported for such standard. For this reason, we need to be familiar with the data serialization, and this can be done by a software method in which we take the algorithm. This algorithm basically takes the data. This in our case is 0x448 is the data, and then this data is serially sent one bit at a time. So if it's 0x44, which means that this is 0100 0100, so this data is going to be sent one bit at a time. And how it's going to be done, this data is to taken this a loop. A loop is going to iterate the number of times that this data is available, 0 to 7, and then based on this data, which we take it and a temporary register, we mask the last bit and then decide whether to send a 1 at the output or a 0 at output, and then make a shift, a data shift, so that the data that is sent out of the temporary register is basically shifted one position ahead. So if one initially it was 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0, and when one bit is out, one thing is going to be less in the data space. So we are going to test this program and see LSB should go out first. So this is basically targeting serial pin 3, and the serial pin 3 is basically relating to port C serial pin 3. I'm making a soft serial port on port C3, and this is the code. Let's run the code and run all. You can see this data is going to change. Zero 1 0 0, and again 1 is going to come. This is the second 4 0 0. So there should be a synchronizing pulse with this thing that will affect make it more visible. We'll see if we can modify this thing and take it, see this more visibly.
हाँ जी, इस एग्जांपल के अंदर मैंने कुछ मॉडिफिकेशंस की हैं और इसको मैंने एक वाइल वाल लूप में चला दिया है, और इसके साथ मैंने एक क्लॉक जनरेट की है पोर्ट बी के ऊपर, ताकि आपको नज़र आ सके कि डाटा किस तरीके से ट्रैवल कर रहा है. नाउ व्हेन वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट दिस थिंग, यू विल नोटिस द डाटा दैट इज़ गोइंग. लेट्स रन इट फॉरएवर, and you will see the data and the clock. This blue is the clock, and this is the data. Basically 0x44 was the data. When this runs one time, that data is shown with the clock. So these were the examples of chapter number 7. We have tried to cover almost all the examples that were directly relating to the hardware, and also simulated some of the important examples in Proteus, so that you can have an idea what these examples would be in real life scenarios, or when simulated in an engine or simulated engine like Proteus. We hope that it is useful. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.